picture this. Our theme today, this month, is being pulled by the vision. And today's talk specifically is freeing your mind with that choice. Free your mind and the rest will follow. What a delight it is to be here and to recognize that that is a choice, that we have an opportunity. And so this month, our opportunity is to revisit our spiritual practices and to use them in as a launching pad for just a fuller expression of the vision. So we're pulled forward by the vision, and every moment we have an opportunity to revision, to refine, to get clearer, and to recommit to the vision. And this is especially pertinent to us right now, as the Austin Center for Spiritual Living is devoting some time on Wednesday to vision for the future, our future. The question is, where do we go from here? And are we willing to be pulled by that vision? Are we ready to reimagine the Austin Center for Spiritual Living? Are we willing and ready to release, let go of our old concepts? We've already had to let go of a lot of our old concepts and move into the new with our Zoom. And I so appreciate our Zoom hosts and those people who support us in that. And still, where do we go from here? See, out of this revisioning, we can discern our response to questions like, how do we gather? Do we gather in person? Do we continue on Zoom? Is there a combination of both? What is Spirit's highest vision for the Austin Center for Spiritual Living? Do we have to meet on Sunday mornings? Do I have to wear my hat and gloves? Do we rent space? What is Spirit's highest vision for the Austin Center for Spiritual Living? This is the question we'll be asking on Wednesday, and I invite you to join us as we do that. See, visioning is an integral part of the power tools of Centers for Spiritual Living. And there is a global vision for the Centers for Spiritual Living. And one piece of that says this. One piece of it is this. It says, we see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God, connection with each other, a world in which individuality and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. And that is based on the timeless wisdom, as stated by Ernest Holmes in his statement, What We Believe. This is what he says. He says, we believe that the kingdom of heaven is within us and that we experience this kingdom to the degree that we become conscious of it. It is already within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And he tells us, Ernest Holmes, our founder, tells us there's a place within us where thought springs spontaneously from the infinite. I know you've had this experience. And we should invite divine ideas to find entrance and expression through our consciousness. And in another book, he says, we are all immersed in an aura of our own thinking. And this aura is a direct result of all that we've ever said, thought, or done. And it decides what is to take place in our life. It attracts what is like itself and repels what is unlike itself. And so as we change our thoughts, we change our lives. See, we are drawn towards those things we mentally embody. And he says this, he says, most of the inner processes of thought have been unconscious. Most of the inner process of thought have been unconscious. What if, once upon a time, not that long ago, in a place not that far from here, there was a couple. And let's say there is a guy named Roger. And Roger is attracted to a woman named Elaine. And Roger asks Elaine out to a movie. And she accepts. And they have a pretty good time. And a few nights later, he asks her out again, and they go to dinner. And again, they enjoy themselves and they continue to see each other regularly. And after a while, neither one of them is seeing anybody else. And then one evening, when they're driving home, a thought occurs to Elaine. And without really thinking, she says it aloud.
Lisa, you're
Do you realize that as of tonight, we've been seeing each other for exactly 6 months?
There is silence in the car. To Elaine, it seems like a very loud silence. And she thinks to herself,
Jeez, I wonder if it bothers him that I said that. Maybe he's been feeling confined by our relationship. Maybe he thinks I'm trying to push him into some kind of obligation he doesn't want or isn't sure of.
and Roger is thinking,
Gosh, 6 months.
and Elaine is thinking,
But hey, I'm not so sure I want this kind of relationship either. Sometimes I wish I had a little more space so I'd have time to think about whether I really want us to keep going the way we are, moving steadily toward, I mean, where are we going? Are we just going to keep seeing each other at this level of intimacy? Are we heading toward marriage, toward children, toward a lifetime together? Am I ready for that level of commitment? Do I really even know this person?
and Roger is thinking,
So that means it was, let's see, February when we started going out, which was right after I had the car at the dealer's, which means, let me check the odometer. I'm way overdue for an oil change here.
and Elaine is thinking,
He's upset. I can see it on his face. Maybe I'm reading this completely wrong. Maybe he wants more from our relationship, more intimacy, more commitment. Maybe he has sensed, even before I sensed, that I was feeling some reservations. Yes, I bet that's it. That's that's why he's so reluctant to say anything about his own feelings. He's afraid of being rejected.
and Roger is thinking,
And I'm going to have to look at the transmission again. I don't care what those morons say, it's still not shifting right. They better not try to blame it on the cold weather this time. What cold weather? It's 87 degrees out, and this thing is shifting like a damn garbage truck. And I paid those incompetent thieves $600.
and Elaine is thinking,
He's angry. And I don't blame him. I'd be angry too. Oh, I feel so guilty putting him through this. But I can't help the way I feel. I'm just not sure.
and Roger is thinking,
They'll probably say it's only a 90-day warranty. That's exactly what they're going to say. The scumballs.
and Elaine is thinking,
Maybe I'm just too idealistic, waiting for a knight to come riding up on his white horse when I'm sitting right next to a perfectly good person, a person I enjoy being with, a person I truly do care about, a person who seems truly to care about me, a person who is in pain because of my self centered schoolgirl romantic fantasy.
and Roger's thinking,
Warranty? They want a warranty? I'll give them a damn warranty. I'll take their warranty and stick it.
Roger,
What?
please don't torture yourself like this. Maybe I should never have. Oh, I feel so.
What?
I'm such a fool. I mean, I know there's no night. I really know that. It's silly. There's no night and there's no horse.
There's no horse?
You think I'm a fool, don't you?
No.
said Roger, finally glad to know the correct answer.
It's just that I need some time.
And now there is a 15-second pause while Roger, thinking as fast as he can, tries to come up with a safe response. And finally, he comes up with one that he thinks might work.
Yes.
Oh, Roger, do you really feel this way?
What way?
That way about time?
Oh, yes.
And Elaine turns to face him and gazes deeply into his eyes, causing him to become very nervous about what she might say next, especially if it involves a horse. And at last she speaks.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
And then he takes her home, and she lies on her bed, a conflicted, tortured soul, and weeps until dawn. Whereas Roger, when he gets back to his place, he opens up a bag of Doritos, turns on the TV, and immediately becomes deeply involved in a rerun of a tennis match between two Czechoslovakians he had never heard of. A tiny voice in the far recesses of his mind tells him that something major was going on back there in the car. But he's pretty sure there's no way he would ever understand what. So he figures it's better if he doesn't think about it. And this is also Roger's policy regarding world hunger. So the next day, Elaine will call her closest friends, or perhaps two of them, and they will talk about this situation for 6 straight hours in painstaking detail. They will analyze everything she said, everything he said, going over it time and time again, exploring every word, expression, and gesture for nuances of meaning, considering every possible ramification. They will continue to discuss this subject on and off for weeks, maybe months, and never reaching any definite conclusions, but never getting bored with it either. And meanwhile, Roger, while playing racquetball one day with a mutual friend of his and Elaine's, will pause just before serving, frown, and say,
Say, Nora, did Elaine ever own a horse?
whenever something happens in our lives, we tell ourselves a story about it. And thank you so much to Brett and Lisa for being the part of Roger and Elaine. And perhaps you might have seen yourself in one of those parts, or maybe both, depending on what day it was. And thank you to Michelle Whittington for that skit. It's in her book, A Savvy Speaker's Guide. See, we are the hero of our own story. And unfortunately, sometimes it involves the hero not believing he or she can do it, or having a totally different idea about what's going on. And sometimes along the way, as the hero of our story, we just want to give up and give into the easy route and eat the bag of Doritos and watch TV. And sometimes we overanalyze our situation and say, what's really going on here? And there's a happy medium, there's a balance there. And what we need to look at is, what is our commitment? Remember last week, Kit talked about, is your commitment more than your resistance? So imagine Frodo, he's headed back to the Shire because he believed he didn't have enough discipline to stick with something for very long. And so as Kit was talking last week, I had that same thought, a same story. Well, actually, it goes like this. I've done this before. Okay, I had some success, but now I'm right back where I started. So the stories we tell ourselves are different for each of us. But if we're not succeeding at something, it's probably because we're telling ourselves the wrong story. And that same thing could be said with enthusiasm. I've done this before, and look where I am now. So you might try it now. Just think of a habit that you're trying to change, or that you've tried to change in the past but failed at. Exercise, meditation, writing, procrastination, whatever it happens to be. And now think about what story you told yourself about yourself. See, what image did you see? Was it that brave hero triumphing over all odds, never being deterred by the forces that marshaled against him by that cold, harsh universe? Or was it an ordinary character who would probably give into the donuts and Netflix when things got hard? I know that character really well. And so, what if our story is working against us? I like the idea of power tools, like Janice read from Richard Bach's book, Power Tools. So, what are some of the Science of Mind power tools? Well, first of all, one of the power tools that comes to mind immediately for me is affirmation, because that's so quick and easy. It's like, okay, I choose to be open and receptive. And sometimes I just go with the one, I am willing to be open and receptive. I'm willing to choose. And so that helps me to craft a new draft of the story. So I have to rely on this idea that principle is not bound by precedent, which means that we don't have to limit our expectations of the future. Thomas Troward tells us this. He says, if our speculations lead us to the conclusion that we have reached a point where we are not only able, but also required by the law of our own being to take a more active part in our personal evolution, this discovery gives us a new outlook upon life, and we can widen our horizons with fresh interests and brightening hopes. And so this means that if you're viewing the future by looking at your past experience, you could be limiting your life. And to be open to new possibilities, we must be willing to leave that past behind and look forward to new manifestations and experiences that Spirit is offering us each day. Again, Ernest Holmes, change your thinking, change your life. And in order to change our thinking, we must be willing to open our consciousness to new possibilities. Maybe something we've never experienced before. We don't have to keep repeating the past. See, every day Spirit is creating a new life through us, each and every day. So to move forward on our spiritual journey, we have to raise the anchor. So just think about an anchored boat. It moves side to side or spins in circles because it's stuck with an anchor as that reference point. And so imagine our reference point, our anchor, is our past experience. And as we raise that anchor and let go of some of the past experiences, maybe the past experience that either Elaine or Roger had with other relationships, then we let go. We come into the surrendering of our own thoughts that keep us held in place, and we allow Spirit to fill us with that new thought. And so the question becomes, do you have confidence in that divine Spirit that can and will guide you on each step of the journey? See, your nature is that of the divine, and already we have that infinite potential. And so I have to ask myself, am I open to embracing this journey that Spirit's offering? As Lisa sang in the song, Picture This, I never thought I'd be that person too afraid to chase after their dreams. After a while, I stopped looking beyond all the things right in front of me, and you came and helped me to open my eyes to that thing that I've missed all along. Because after a life of comfortable dreams, what if I was wrong? Picture this. What if all it takes is a moment? What if all it takes is a moment believing that the end doesn't end, it begins? Picture this. All we've wanted was there all along, leading us to a start. And what I love most about this song is the story behind it. See, at the beginning of the pandemic, Matt and Savannah, father, daughter, were simply two people in a family that, enjoyed singing. And Savannah was 15. She just joined the choir, and the choir practices were canceled. So she wanted to be connected with her friends. So she created her very first social media account, Instagram. And for the first post, she wanted her father, Matt, to sing the prayer, that song, The Prayer, which Lisa sings for us so beautifully, because she was too shy to sing it for herself. And so she went out and got him. He was out in the garden, and he came in and he said, "Okay, I'll sing with you on this." And she said, "Can you change your clothes, take off your hat?" And he said, "Oh, your friends don't care what I look like." So he just went ahead and they sang the song, and then they posted it. And then he put it on Facebook so that her grandparents could see it. And it went viral. See, in his youth, Matt Shaw was passionate about singing, and he had aspirations to become a Broadway performer and create music. And then his father died when he was 14, and the family moved, and Matt gave up his dreams of Broadway. But then he graduated with an accounting degree. He concentrated on his real estate business and spending time with his family, and less and less energy went to music. This is what he said. He said, "My priority was to make sure that my family was secure and taken care of. And I knew that music wasn't going to do that for my family." Well, what if he was wrong all along? Because now they have 3 albums out. They have their own music. They do covers of many of the songs that Lisa sings for us. And it is so beautiful. And their theme is to, you know, to share joy, to spread hope, or to spread joy and share hope. In any case, this brings us to another idea, another truth. Delay is not denial. Delay is not denial. So, what if we don't know what the picture is? Well, that's where we get out one of our other power tools. In this case, what's called for is visioning. We do visioning, which allows spirit to move through us with an idea, with a picture, picture this. And then in the visioning, we follow that up by treatment, another power tool, and our affirmation. See, visioning helps us to picture what we want to make, and treatment and affirmation are the tools to get the job done. So, personal transformation, that's what we're about. So, in Sights of Mind, we have this practical, usable philosophy and faith that changes lives by awakening people to this truth. And as we engage in the practice in a way that reaps results, engaging in our use of power tools, we bring about a global transformation that ushers in a new dimension of peace, love, unity, and oneness. And so we may have been deluded into believing the story of our past, but right now we have the chance to choose anew. And the question is, what will we choose? So I invite you to picture a new story for yourself, and join us as we picture a new story for the Austin Center for Spiritual Living. A new story, a new vision. Picture this. And so let's take that thought into our meditation today, into our prayer treatment. And so today I just speak the word of that divine life. I know there's one power, one presence, one infinite source, one divine life that is eternal, ever creating out of itself. It has created each and every person, each and every being, each and everything that we experience, that we know, that we feel is that divine spirit, because that's all there is. And so knowing this, I know that we are connected in a way beyond what is seen. We are connected in that divine unseen, in thought, in word, in everything that we do, be, and have, we are connected. And so in this connection, I speak my word for the love, the joy, the peace, and the understanding that unfolds in perfect right ways across this planet. It is not limited to one place or one time. Spirit is limitless, limitless possibility. And as we choose, we bring those possibilities into view. As we vision that, we make a choice. And today I choose love. Today I choose joy. Today I choose to be in awe at the wonder of spirit. Today I choose to picture a world blessed by peace, by calm winds, by the delightful, gentle warming of the sun, and by the waves of water that wash our shores and wash through us and over us in perfect right ways. And so knowing that we are blessed, I just let it be. I take the next step, surrendering to spirit, surrendering this word to the law, knowing that the law is that makes manifest, that creates, that does. And so releasing this word, I know that it's already done. I can let go. I can pull up my anchor and float with the tide, knowing that I am carried to the perfect right place at the perfect right time. And I invite you to release this with a joyful heart in gratitude for what already is, what always has been, and for that which is on its way to us in this very moment. We are so blessed. And as we say together this final release, let us say it with meaning. And so it is.